Newcomer New Me. In today's episode of Newcomer New Me, we are talking about the Canadian workplace environment or culture. Let's say you finally find a job in Canada. That means now you will need to know what you should do or you should avoid to succeed in the Canadian workplace environment. And we want to give you a hand. We are inviting to the show two very successful immigrants. They will be sharing their experience, their knowledge, so stay with us. Our next guest is Alvaro Pombo. Alvaro has over 25 years of experience in e-business and IT. Alvaro has achieved the City of Ottawa Immigrant Entrepreneur Award and is also a winner of the Ottawa Business Journal's 40 Under 40 and one of the 10 most influential Hispanic Canadians. Alvaro has more than 30 years in Canada, and he's currently the CEO and founder of ProntoForms Corporation, an IT company with more than 100 employees, where he is responsible for the growth and success of the company's talent. Alvaro, thank you so much for being with us today in Newcomer New Me.
It's good to be here.
Alvaro, how would you describe the Canadian workplace environment?
Look, I will say it's a very open environment. It's an environment that, where immigrants like ourselves, I don't think have anything to fear or be afraid of. I mean, it's a very open environment. I'll give you an example. In the company that I lead, it's about 170 people. And we celebrate diversity. I think there are people from about 60 different countries, okay? Or 50. I mean, it's in that range. So we have, we have things like every Friday there is, throughout certain months of the year, we celebrate, hey, I don't know, being from India. Let's just talk about and learn about India. Let's talk about Colombians. Let's talk about everything. And so I think it's a very, very open environment. People are very proud, of who they are and where they come from. But above all, we're good entrepreneur and hardworking Canadians, which is what at the end of the day really matters.
Absolutely. Diversity, right? Like how diverse is our country, how diverse is especially this area. We are in Toronto, the most multicultural city in the whole world. Of course, that's also reflected in the workplace environment. Alvaro, according to your experience, what would be the main difference between working in Latin America or working in Canada?
Oh, wow, many differences. I mean, look, I used to work for ESO in Colombia. I'm originally from Colombia. And I had an opportunity to see different, and I worked quite a few years, like 10 years in Colombia before I moved to Canada. Let's talk about the differences. I think is number one, very dynamic. Number two, I remember in Colombia, and in many of our countries, the connections are important in Canada, okay, the networking, but it's a lot more egalitarian here than what is there. Here, and I believe in North America, overall, what matters is what's between your ears and not who you know. And at the end of the day, who you know might get you to open doors, but nobody's gonna give you a job because you're, I don't know, connected to this or connected to that. And if they give it to you, it won't last long, by the way. Don't take it. Take it, but you know what I mean? They don't value for who you are. This is ultimately what matters. So I think that is, I would say, the fundamental difference is that there is a lot more openness and more dynamism. It's a lot more dynamic. I would say those are the two big differences.
Alvaro, as you said, in your company, there are many people from different backgrounds, many immigrants. I want to ask you, according to you, what would be the main challenges immigrants had to face when they are trying to adapt to the Canadian workplace environment?
Look, immigrating is not easy. Tomorrow is going to be 30 years. I'm dating myself. I moved when I was 2 years old. No, I'm joking. Look, it is the challenges are a lot. Okay, the language, the difference in the weather. Okay, I still joke that I moved to Canada because I was looking for better weather than in Colombia, and there are people that still think about it. They don't laugh immediately. which is unbelievable. I have to break. Hey guys, look.
Yeah.
I wasn't chasing any women. I wasn't, it just was supposed to be a rational decision, which actually, to be honest, it was the best decision I've made in my life. And just so, I guess, I mean, the challenges are many, but I think it's like everything in life. You want to see it as challenges or you want to see it as opportunities for growth. If you take them as challenges, you should sign off right now from this podcast, okay? Because what I'm going to tell you is that there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be. I mean, everybody goes, look at them as learning opportunities. Look, I understand that the 17th day of -30 in Ottawa, it doesn't happen that often, but anyway, it's just, oh my God, what else am I going to learn about this thing? But life is like that. If you look at it, I mean, glass half empty or half full, I think it's all in there. It's how you see that. If you see it as a great thing that you're going to overcome, and then you leave it behind, totally behind, okay? Then you have a chance, and a good chance, because we have many good things. I mean, as Hispanics, as Latin, we're warm, we're more funny, we're much better at many other things. And emotional intelligence, make no mistake, for any career, unless you're just want to work alone, emotional intelligence is at least 50% of the equation, at least 50. So you have an advantage on that 50. And I think people put themselves, they don't listen to them. When they introduce each other as Canadians and they get into the conversation, okay, as people from here, they say, how many generations Canadian are you? Which basically tells you they all started from not being from here. Okay? So it's all in here. It's all in here. As soon as you start putting yourself in this thing that I'm under, something I just knew I'm under, you will be under.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is in your mind, right? So totally. Anytime there's something you have to overcome, take this as you said, right, as a learning opportunity, as a way to grow.
I'll tell you, first winter in Canada, I said, what am I going to do here? I went and signed up to the municipality of Ottawa for skating lessons. I went on a bus. I didn't come with money whatsoever. I took a bus, $35 to go to the ski hill. And I almost got frostbite because, I mean, in a bus, I decided to, anyway, whatever, I can go on and on and on with the stories. But you're going to do it or you're not. And if you're going to do it, get on with the program. And it's actually very, my God, it's great country, great everything. You guys know the pluses.
Alvaro, now I would love you that you give us a bit of explanation. Like, let's talk about the mistakes or things we should be avoiding. Something that you have seen many people who are coming from abroad, many immigrants, when they are starting their career in Canada, maybe they should be avoiding doing this or that.
Good question. Look, I'm defining kind of, don't go into the half empty part of the glass. However, don't go into the cocky side of it, okay? In becoming too full of yourself about I'm the best, whatever, because that's not very Canadian either, okay? Mm-hmm. It's not about immigration or anything. That's not very Canadian either. So try to be yourself and also be very self-aware of how things work around here. So the way things work are, I mean, results matter and speak loudly, okay? Respect and all the values that you've been taught in your immigration, getting your citizenship, you were taught the values of this country. And they're real. So I'd say, don't try to change the world around you. I'm not talking about professionally and in your career. And if you want to invent a new way of doing video, go change the world around you, okay? I'm saying is don't try to change the interpersonal aspects of the world around you, because that's a big tall order and you won't have time to do both at the same time. You're trying to get to your career, get to your aspirations, get on everything. And at the same time, change Canadian culture is a big task. Your battles, focus on that. So the mistakes that I see, and I seriously, I don't see them that often. The mistake that I see the most is people being on the shy side, on the I am under, on that side. And then very seldom, I mean, I'd say I probably have seen it one or twice, and where people just think, oh, I come from a better part of the world, and yours is too cold, and yours is this, and yours is that. Doesn't work.
Thank you so much for those advices. Now we are moving to the end of this interview. As somebody who has more than, well, 30 years, right? Like tomorrow, as you said, you are finally
30, say it again, Cynthia.
30 years in Canada. I want you to give, please, only three advices to those newcomers who are ready to start their career here in Canada.
Look, I'd say put very high objectives and visualize yourself there, okay? Because you can get it. If I did it, okay, I'm not stellar whatsoever. I'm a normal, average idiot from out there, okay? So you can do it. You can do it. You just need to be true to yourself. You need to look at yourself in the mirror. This has nothing to do with being an immigrant or not an immigrant. Look at you in the mirror and just say, hey, how far do I want to go? How far do I want to go with my family, alone? I mean, all these things is know thyself is what the story is. I think that's such an important line. Know yourself very well, okay? Then my second piece of advice, once you have visualized where you want to get to, look, no is not an answer for me, okay? I've started a company, I raised money against all odds, I've gone through 2 recessions and 3 crises and whatever you want to, and it just stay on it, okay? If you know where you want to get to, stay on it. I'm not saying hit yourself against the wall, but sometimes I hit myself against the wall, up to a point where you learn that is a wall and you go around it. But you stay on it, and this has nothing to do more with staying power, persistence, stay focused on what you're doing. And the last part is, I'm a hardworking person. And I work very hard. And there are people that look at it as, oh, you work X number of hours. You know what? I have fun X number of hours. The other people have to work. I don't have to work. I love what I do. So once again, I mean, it's just now you need balance. I love to spend time with my wife and my son, and you need to have the balance. It doesn't mean pounding the keyboard the 18 hours a day, but if that's what you like, do it. But it is stay focused, stay on it, stay. I think I've said it many times, but I'd say that's the advice I will give my son.
And that's such a powerful advice. Alvaro, thank you so much for being with us today. Yeah, I'm sure many immigrants are going to take advantage of the whole interview, all the experience you are bringing to the table and you're sharing with all of them. Thank you so much.
Look, it's the least I can do after what I've gone through, and I'll also thank, every time I have an opportunity, I'll thank this country for the opportunity that gives us, okay? Because I don't think many other countries allow us to ultimately have an interview like this or a conversation like this. I do know if 100 people are listening and going after, they didn't need the interview, but many of them have a very good chance of realizing their careers and their dreams or whatever their objectives are, because this country let us do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And the idea of doing this podcast is to empowering them, letting them know, hey, look at Alvaro. If as you already said, right? If you were able to do it, we also can. So thank you so much for sharing that experience.
Thank you, Cynthia. That was fun. Appreciate the time.
My friends, you have no idea how much I admire our next guest. His name is Carlos Chalico. He has more than 24 years of international experience in IT, working in America, Europe, and Asia. Carlos moved to Canada in 2012. He is currently working for Ernst & Young a cybersecurity leader for the private sector, and he is the national leader for the privacy practice. Carlos is also an instructor at the University of Toronto. He's usually traveling all around the world, delivering conference talks, and honestly, I have no idea how, but he has still managed to make the time for volunteering at organizations like Hispanotech as a mentor. Carlos is in the house right now. Carlos, welcome to Newcomer New Me.
Cynthia, thank you so much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure, and it's been great to see how you have developed your own career in Canada. So if there is someone that we have to be proud of, that's you. So thank you for the invitation, and thanks to everyone for attending the session today.
Carlos, thank you so much for those words to me. Carlos, so let's think that somebody is saying, Carlos, let's grab a coffee. I'm just absolutely new in Canada. So I would like your advice. And if this person is asking you, how would you describe the Canadian workplace environment? What would you say to them?
I think the first word is diversity, and it is something that I learned, and I will say something that might sound very, very, very stupid, but I think that's true. I am a Mexican. I was born in Mexico, and in Mexico, the country is full of Mexican people. It sounds absurd, but it is true. I mean, we don't have the diversity that we have here. So what I want to say is that if I go to an office in Mexico, 99% of the people I will find there was born in Mexico, which is pretty different to what we have here. If you go to an office in Canada, you will find that maybe the majority of the people, more than 50%, is people that was born outside of Canada in different countries. That's what I mean when I say that Mexico it will be full of Mexican people, because that's how diverse we are in Canada. Here we are going to be finding people from everywhere. So I think the first challenge is diversity, and it can sound simple, but these different types of ideas we have in our heads because of the differences in not only academic backgrounds, but cultural backgrounds as well, makes us think different. And I think that, of course, gives power to the organizations in Canada. And I think that's power of the beauty of this country, but it is also challenging because going back to Mexico, full of people that is thinking the same way with very similar ideas, even with that, you have some challenges and you have some things that you have to be dealing with. But when you come here with this diversity of backgrounds, something you can say might be taken in a different direction by someone in the room. So you have to be very careful on how you are saying things, how you are expressing things, even in some cases, your body language. So I think that the first challenge you will face is diversity. That's what I will say. I have also seen that the Canadian marketplace tends to be very conservative. I don't see the same level of aggressiveness that we see on the American marketplace, for example, or that we see in Mexico. Um, I think that here companies, if they feel fine with something they are doing, a process they have, an employee they have, a provider they have, even if something wrong happens, the level of tolerance they have is higher than the one you can find in the States or in Mexico. I think that in the States or in Mexico, they are willing to bring another supplier that can be more agile, that can be more dynamic, that can show the value of the money that the company is investing in that. And the level of tolerance in Canada is greater because I think that in general, the environment in Canada is much more risk averse from what we have in the States and Mexico.
Because you're an international professional, you have been working in many different countries. You have already talked about those differences between working in the United States, Mexico, Canada. But when we are talking about Latin America as a region, what would you highlight as some of the main difference between working there and working in Canada?
Thanks, Cynthia. I think that one of the main differences is in the communication side. I have found that in Latin America, we tend to be very wordy and we tend to go in circles and we tend to direct a significant portion of our communications to the social side of things. So if you jump into a meeting in, let's say, Mexico, you will spend some time perhaps talking about soccer and maybe talking about family and maybe talking about some personal matters. And then we will go to the topic that has to be discussed in the conversation. I think that the advantage of that is that the integration of people tends to be closer, and I will say the social tissue within corporations can be, I will say, more effective. when it comes to North America in general, conversations are right to the point. You jump into a meeting in Canada, and it is not common to spend time on the same matters that we have in Mexico. So you go directly to the point, you go for the objective, you go for the results. And I think that's significant. I remember at some point in time, I was exploring opportunities to change my job, and I was having a conversation with a vice president of a very large bank that has a strong presence in Latin America. And he was saying to me, Carlos, we want someone that is here right now in Canada that can help us understand how you operate in Latin America, because there are things that we don't understand. And it was very funny that he said to me, there's a word that is like ethereal for us. And the word is ahorita, because we don't understand what ahorita means. We have found that ahorita means maybe 30 minutes, maybe a second, or maybe never. So we have people using the word indiscriminately, and we don't know how to take that. So there's a cultural difference between the two of us. And I think that's something that we need to find out how to deal with when you are in the country. For example, when I moved to Canada, my first emails were very, 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 very wordy. And I remember my first boss saying to me, Carlos, I get that, but you need to go right to the point. Try to avoid going in circles, in circles, in circles, because you are losing effectiveness in the communication. So I think that's something that we need to understand when we come to this place. You need to go right to the point to resolve the situations that have to be resolved.
I want to ask you, um, as you know how diverse is the workplace environment here in Canada, full of immigrants, many people coming from other parts of the country. Is there a common mistake that you have seen, or a misconception, something that you would say to a new immigrant, hey, try to avoid doing these type of things when you are at work?
Do you mean a common mistake all across the country?
Yeah, no, I mean a common mistake from immigrants who are just starting their career in Canada. Not only talking about Latin American people, could
In
be,
general,
of course,
yeah.
could be in general.
I think that perhaps the most important that comes to mind right now is to think, when looking for a job, that going through the online system is the only channel and that it is going to be effective. What I mean is that going to the website of a company, identifying an opportunity, applying online, and following up on that opportunity online only, my experience is that it is not effective. Um, I think that in the end, when it comes to a recruiting process, it is people working with people. It is a human being that is going to be hiring another human being. So you need to find a way to get that connection, that direct connection, in order to have the opportunity to interact with the recruiter, or even better than that, to interact with the hiring manager. If that happens, then the chances for you to have a real opportunity with that company are going to be high. But if that doesn't happen, it is going to be very, very, very the chances are going to be very, very, very low. That's what I have seen. Uh, I spent some time one day talking to one vice president of a bank, and it was pretty impressive because I was introduced to this gentleman. I was looking for an opportunity, and I remember that I talked to him about my experience, and in less than 5 minutes, he said to me, you know what, Carlos, you have the profile we are looking for. I want you to talk to this person because I would love to have you working in our team. And I said to him, that's perfectly fine. And I love to hear that. But I just want to understand something. I have applied to this same position 8 different times, and I have been rejected all of the times for these and other opportunities. So how is it that if I go online, I am rejected that much? And if I have the opportunity to talk to you in person, I am instantly accepted to go to the next step. What's making the difference? And he said to me, the volume of resumes we receive is overwhelming. You have to understand, he said to me, that when it comes to Canada, you have people that is applying not only from within the country, but even from outside of the country, from their countries of origin, just trying to look for an opportunity to take that position. And he said to me, that's perfectly valid. They are looking for something, but in the end, they are increasing the number of candidates we have to review. So we cannot do that manually. We need applications to help us with that. And I have to recognize that not necessarily all of the time the applications are properly that is expected. So yes, unfortunately, part of the price we have to pay is losing good candidates in the journey. Uh, After learning that, I was definitely convinced that the best and most effective way to get an opportunity is to have a face-to-face conversation. I know that this face-to-face now has to be migrated to screen conversation, but you need to find a way to talk directly to the person that you are going to be working with. That's the most effective way to get an opportunity. The online world is useful, of course, necessary, of course, but not as effective as having this type of interactions.
I was looking at your LinkedIn profile because, as you know, how
Mhm.
important is LinkedIn in Canada, right? And I was taking a look at exactly at your first paragraph, and it gives you that human touch that it's necessarily. Of course, it's absolutely mixed with all your skills, with all your experience, because as you said, we are here in a country with a lot of competitors, many people applying for the same position. So absolutely, you need to do something to stand out. Carlos, I want to ask you, let's say we finally are hired, our first job in Canada. Now we need to develop a career there. Yes, it's our first opportunity, but we want to have that success as Carlos as Chalico. So what would be your advice for us?
That's a very good question. Let me just say something pretty quickly associated to the previous question, because I think it is pretty relevant, and that's LinkedIn. And you're absolutely right. I think that in addition to the advice that I was sharing with you, devoting time to build a solid profile on LinkedIn is key for this market. The relevance that LinkedIn has in the Canadian market is not the same one that we have, at least in Mexico and in other Latin American countries. It is heavily used in this place. When you are going to be having a conversation with someone, for whatever reason, it is very common to see that the person has come to your profile to learn more about you before having this first conversation with you. So I think that's something that we have to do. Now, going to your question, sorry for that. What do we need to do the very first day? I think the first thing you need to do is believe in yourself. And I want to remark that because it is pretty common for us that don't have English as our first language, that the first thing we feel is panic and this insecurity that comes with the possibility of failing and not being effective when you're trying to communicate yourself with others, not being able to properly listen to instructions or properly give instructions to someone else. I have found with time that at least we in Latin America tend to be very strict with us in how perfect our English has to be. I think we just need to be able to be clear enough on communicating an idea and have our ears prepared to be able to understand what we are receiving. And if for whatever reason we have doubts, we can ask. That's not an issue. I mean, you can confirm. I just want to know that what you are asking to me is this. I understand that what I need to do is this, and that. Is that right? Yes, perfect. And of course, as you are educating your ear, you will be able to start getting apart from this habit. But I think that there's nothing wrong on asking questions when you have to do things. And I think we need to believe in ourselves. I remember that when I came to the country, one of the first terrifying experiences I faced was precisely the need of delivering a conference to an audience of 100 persons in English. And I was invited to do that shortly after I came to the country. I used to do that in Mexico many, many times, but of course, always in Spanish. So I have never had the need of delivering this type of presentation in English. So I was terrified, and I started to try to see what I could do. I remember that a friend of mine suggested me to go to a lady that was specialized in accent, and I worked with her for a while. But besides any topics and any advice that I might have discussed with her, the most important piece that she shared with me was, Carlos, you have an accent and you will always have that accent. You don't have to lose it. That's part of your personality. You have a Latin American accent, and that's fine. You were born speaking Spanish, you learned how to speak Spanish, and the muscles in your face, your tongue, your lips, your teeth are oriented to produce specific types of sounds that are different from the ones we have in English. You will learn, yes, but you have a disadvantage of the years you have lived in Mexico. So that's not an issue. So don't be harsh on you. Don't be rude with you. You are perfectly fine on communicating the way you are doing it. And then she explained to me the expression of the elephant in the room. I didn't know that expression because that is not popular in Spanish. So she said to me, the elephant in the room is what is an expression you use when there's a problem that is evident for everyone, but no one else is willing to talk about the issue. So your elephant in the room, if you're presenting something to an audience in English, is the fact that you don't have English as your first language. So the way you can resolve this situation is by bringing the elephant yourself. Instead of having anyone else talking about your language or your accent or whatever, just recognize the situation up front and say, ladies and gentlemen, my first language is Spanish. I don't speak English as my first language. So if I say anything that is not clear, please let me know. So I just did that. The day I have to deliver the presentation, I brought a slide with a very nice elephant in a very tiny room. And I said, I need to share something with you. This is my elephant. I was born in Mexico. Spanish is my first language, not English. If I'm not clear, let me know. I will not get offended. It completely relieved me from that. And since then, every single time I have the opportunity of delivering something in English, like in this case, I always start by introducing myself, saying my name is Carlos Chalico. I was born and raised in Mexico, and this is why you will get this lovely Latino accent for the next 15, 60, or 90 minutes, whatever, because that's who I am. That will not change. So if I try to change something that is myself, that will never be successful. On the contrary. So I think that's something that we need to keep in mind. Believe in ourselves and don't think that this is going to be a barrier. We are going to be resolving the situation. I know that today I'm still having an accent and I will never lose it. And I don't want to, because that's part of me. That's part of who I am.
Love it, Carlos. Absolutely. Those are, I'm sure that's a very powerful message for many, many immigrants, including myself. I do believe that we have to embrace our accent. As you said, it's part of our personality. I actually am doing exactly the same as you are suggesting. Anytime somebody says like, sorry, what did you say? I said, oh, I'm sorry, it's my Latino accent, right?
Yeah,
And,
that's
and,
how we
and I
Latinos are.
have absolutely no problem about repeating and, oh, I can, please tell me if this is a correct pronunciation. I mean, as you said, right, we need to understand who we are and be confident and also be very proud of what we are doing. We are speaking two languages and we are doing this interview in English, but with an accent as well.
Every single person that has migrated to this country is extraordinary. The only fact that they made the decision, that we made the decision of leaving the place where we were born for whatever reason, that's something in itself. So trying to build a life in a country where they speak a different language from the one you learned and that they have different cultures and this diversity, that talks about the heart that the people that comes to Canada has. So I think that everyone that comes to these countries is extraordinary. That's my way of thinking of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Carlos, we're coming to the end of the interview, but I want to ask you as our last question. As an immigrant, generally speaking, doesn't need to be professional. Is there any advice you would like to give to somebody who is completely new in Canada?
I think that the most important piece, Cynthia, is to build your social network. We need friends. So in order to succeed here, you need people that will push you, that will pull you, that will invite you to do new things, that will show you how things work in this country. And I think that's crucial. When I moved to Canada, I remember that I said I need to start identifying my tribe and I need to start identifying my people. So I recognize myself, number one, as Latin American. Number two, I am in the IT space. So I need to look for associations that can help me find the network I want. And precisely Hispanotech happened to be one of those because miraculously, Hispanotech was bringing the two of these elements together. Information technology and Latin American people. So that's why this organization in particular has been so important for me. And that's how in this ecosystem within Hispanotech, I found a way not only to help myself, but to help others. Because in this identification and in this exercise of looking for your friends and your network, you can also start first taking, but then giving. And I want to mention again this mentoring program that Hispanotech has been organizing for some years now. It's fantastic. I mean, the amount of time they devote to identifying mentors, to identifying mentees, and making the proper pairing to have people effectively supporting each other is fantastic. So finding this type of people that is willing to help, that is willing to provide you with the guidelines you need to succeed in the country is critical. So building the social network is step number one, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Carlos, thank you so much for coming today to the show. It has been an absolutely pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Cynthia. The pleasure is mine and hope to see you soon.
Of course. Bye-bye. My friends, we're coming to the end of the season, but thank you so much for being part of Newcomer New Me. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did. Newcomer New Me is entirely produced by immigrants, and we want to give you a hand after our own journey in Canada. Thank you so much to Brenda, to Eugenio, Lucero, Antonio, Jonathan, Francisca, and Ghislaine from our marketing and from our production team. Don't forget to follow the show on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, of course, on LinkedIn. And please follow the Bridge Canada and Hispanotech, as these platforms are also trying to help you integrate in Canada. My name is Cintia Basulto Mejia. I'm a Latin American journalist in Canada. See you next time. Bye-bye. Newcomer, New Me.